Hey, Tim Sykes, Millionaire Mentor Trader here. I'm so excited to announce that Tim Grittani is back. He's freaking back. I love it. He went away for a little bit because he had a family. Now he's coming back to trading and coming back to sharing his story. If you click the link below, you can get access to this webinar that we're doing next week. Really excited about this, and he's going to be sharing so much. He actually said that, he's been trading more and more. Lately, he didn't have a great June. He actually said he had a red month, but then July, he said one of his top 5 months ever from out his entire illustrious career. He's made 8 figures. I mean, last I checked, it was like $13.5, $14 million. He started with just $1,500 of his own money. He has been such an incredible inspiration to so many. I'm very proud to not just teach him, but to take him on his first overseas trip. And we actually went to, his first overseas trip was in the Maldives when he crossed 100,000. That was pretty amazing. And he was like trading in the middle of the night to the Maldives. I was like trying to like close his laptop. I was like, relax a little. And he was determined even then. We also went to Bali. We went to Italy. We went to Switzerland. We went to a bunch of places. Then he had a family, and he's family man, amazing wife, amazing kids. But now, because the market is hot, he's back. And I'm really excited to hear what he has to say on this webinar. I have no idea what he's going to say. He just showed up in the challenge chat room the other day, and he was like, hey, let's do a little update. Because a lot of people ask, like, what happened to him? Where did he go? He didn't lose everything. He didn't blow up. He just, recognized, wait a minute, he had 8 figures in profits, and that's the dream, right? You don't need to just try to make 9 figures or 10 figures. I know like, $1 billion is cool. FYI, I know a few billionaires, they're miserable. They're miserable AF. I know it sounds crazy. How can you be a billionaire and be miserable? Well, if you have too much money, you have to have extra security. You can't trust anybody. People are using you. I actually gave a TED Talk, probably like the least viewed TED Talk of all time, where I talked about how being a billionaire or making too much money is like a ball and chain, like it's your prison, and the wealth actually becomes a prison. People are like, what are you talking about, making $1 billion? No. Let me tell you, okay? And we're going to talk about this with Tim Grittani too. You don't need $1 billion. You don't need $100 million. You will be shocked at what your life can be when you have a few million in the bank and you have knowledge, and Tim Grittani has a beautiful family. So I'm sure we're going to get into that. We're also going to be talking about how he just had a near record month in July, what patterns he's looking at, what stocks he's looking at, what trends he's looking at. Just so glad to have him back. If you are in the challenge, you have access to 70 plus of his archive webinars. Again, click the link below this video to get into his upcoming webinar with me. We're going to be doing it live, but also to get access to all his archive webinars. It's not just about the money that he's made or the trades that he's made, it's the process. In fact, the last webinar he gave, funny enough, he made $300,000 in one day on CYDY. And I remember that was pretty big, years ago. Now I have several students who have surpassed that. But at the time, that was the biggest trade that any of my students had made. I was like, Tim Grittani, 300 grand in one day. What are you going to do? And he's like, can I give a challenge webinar? And I was blown away because, he really wanted to give back to the community that helped raise him. And if you remember, I guess Pascal's here. Say hi, Pascal.
Hey, everybody.
We're going to post a link to that webinar. If you have challenge access, you can click it. If you don't have challenge access, click the link, get in the challenge. But there's a webinar where he explained how he made 300 grand in one day. That's his last webinar. That was like, 3 or 4 years ago. I'm excited. So making the money, showing the process, teaching the process, it's a whole circle and paying it forward. And I'm so proud of all my millionaire students. Tim Grittani, I think, was like my, 5th or 6th, maybe like my 7th millionaire? I don't remember. It's pretty good. It's a good problem when you can't keep track of the specific numbers. But since then, the number of millionaires has gone up like 6 times or 7 times. What?
Just second.
Was he my 2nd millionaire?
Yeah.
Oh, Michael Good and Tim Grittani.
Yeah.
Show the press release that we took out. That's embarrassing. That's when you know you have too many millionaires. That's a good problem to have. So we haven't grown the number of millionaires by 6 or 7. We've grown it by like 20 times. And it's going to happen again and again. And it goes to the hardest worker who's willing to study the most. Not like following hot picks, getting a process down, learning from what works, accepting the fact that you're going to lose sometimes, minimizing your losses. All my millionaires know how to keep losses small. It's an important skill. Most newbies think if you ever lose, that's bad. Millionaires know small losses are not bad. They're part of the game. We'll be going all over this during the webinar. I also encourage you to leave a comment below. Any questions you have for Tim Grittani, because him and I are going to go back and forth. I'll look at the comments after this video is posted. Ask multiple questions, leave multiple comments, but do me a favor and leave one question per comment, because it gets confusing like if you put like 5 or 6 questions in one comment. But if you ask questions as a comment, and if you have 10 questions, that means leave 10 comments. That way I can just copy and paste and write them all down and ask Tim Grittani in person. I'm really excited for him to, do the Q&A, to share everything publicly. And, we're just going to share what actually works and what's real. Never forget that 90% of traders lose. Most people don't share, all the successes and mistakes publicly. Keep the air conditioning on. I like the air conditioning. I'm sweating. I'm dying in here. I'm just going to be real with you. We're not going to edit this. My whole industry is full of fakes. I need you to understand that, okay? When most people say they're going to teach you to get rich, they're lying. They never got rich themselves. They've never created a millionaire themselves. Turn up the AC. Seriously. Blast it. Blast it. I'm so excited for the AC. I'm so excited for this upcoming webinar. We got a lot of things to look forward to. Leave a comment below with your questions. Congratulate Tim. Thank him for coming back. And click some links below if you want to watch his last webinar and if you want access to this next webinar. Get excited. All right, so I filmed that video just talking about who's going to be on this special webinar next week, but I just want you to know a little bit more about Tim Grittani in case you don't know. This was a decade ago. Pretty crazy, but he was one of my first millionaire students. Like, I don't even realize, the order of millionaire students anymore. It's a good problem to have. But this was this CNN article that went viral over a decade ago because he took $1,500 of his own money, turned it into $1 million in 3 years. He's now been trading for much longer than that, 13.5 million. It's actually even more. He hasn't updated in a little while. He's got a family. He's got a beautiful wife. He's got kids. But now he's getting back into trading because he sees the opportunity. We'll find out more about what he's been up to lately. But I'm really excited because just in the little brief conversation I had with him, he said, July was one of his best months ever. And this is from somebody who's been away, not just for like a few weeks or a few months. He's been really away from aggressive trading for years. And, you can choose how dedicated you want to be. You can choose your size. You can choose your stress level. You get to choose everything you want with the market. But I will say, if you're away for a few years like Tim Grittani has been, there's a little rust, right? Like, especially when you're trading with size. And him and Jack Kellogg, they push the most size of anybody I know. And it's pretty cool. Like he said, he had a near record month in July, but he had a red month in June. But you guys can't be afraid of any red months. You can't be afraid of any red stock trades. We all have losses. If you keep your losses to a minimum, whether a minimum is a few $100s, maybe it's a few $1,000s. I'm sure to Tim Grittani, a minimum losses to a minimum is a few $100,000. Like, everyone is on a different, level. And obviously we all want to make millions and tens of millions, but it takes a lot to get to those levels, right? Like, that's like level 1,000. So I'm really excited where he's going to be talking about what he's been up to for the past few years. I just love that trading has given him and his family an amazing life. And some of you have asked, like, why did he basically stop? I'm sure he'll answer that, but I guarantee you it comes down to family. And you really have to think about what is your why for getting into trading. It's not just like getting a high score, how much money you can make. I know a lot of people with, quote, high scores and a lot of money in their bank, but they're not necessarily happy. They don't have a family, or they don't have a happy family because, trading and sometimes money can really, alter things. So I think Tim Grittani hasn't just made, 13 plus million from trading, but really he's created his dream life. And I'm so fortunate to have him as a student, to have known him for so long. I'll post a link to this article below this video in case you want to get inspired. CNN went over all of his trades, all over, what he did. And I think it's really cool to show you because Tim Grittani was not just one of my first Millionaire students, he was also like one of the most humble students. He previously was like a State Farm insurance guy. He had like the khaki pants and he just didn't want to work for State Farm. He didn't want to have like a normal job anymore. And this was me and him. I flew out to Ohio. I actually flew out to Ohio to try to get on camera when he was going to cross $1 million. And everything went wrong because I had like a camera crew and I was like egging him on. And I think he lost about $50,000 trying to force it. So I don't do that anymore. I'm really proud of all my Millionaire students, but I'm proud of just what he's done. And, this was a decade ago, like I said, and this was, he was 24 years old and now he's, in his 30s, and he's done a lot, and I'm so excited. So leave a comment below if you're going to join us on this webinar. I'm really excited to hear what he's been up to, what his take on the current market is, how he achieved a near record month in July, and really just catch up with him because it's been a while. All you challenge students should be reviewing his old webinars. He's given about 70 challenge webinars, so you should catch up. The last webinar that he did, I'll post a link below. Also, he made 300 grand in a day and he gave a challenge webinar. Now he's coming back. So it will be Friday, I believe, 11 a.m. Eastern, if I'm not mistaken. So stay tuned and leave a comment. Let me know if you're going to join in, and also leave us some comments with some questions you have for him. The more questions, the better. I'll look through all the questions before we go live and I'll ask your questions to the man, Tim Grittani. But really excited. So stay tuned.